You're watching CTN, the Connecticut Network, connecting you to state government since 1999.
Tracy Graves in the room. And you know what? Naturally, we didn't even have to skip over anybody. We got Mr. Christopher Dukes. The floor is yours, sir.
Excellent. Good evening, folks of the caucus. Representative Felipe, I'd like to finish where we left off last year in my testimony. And I appreciate you acknowledging that a lot of you have seen me advocating outside of the Capitol for the last 7 years. And that's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing. The bad thing is that I had to advocate for 7 years in order to get justice. We are good as a state as identifying DEI and making sure that we're good on it, but we're absolutely horrible in justice. We deliver partial justice sometimes when we get caught, and we'd like to improve that. Let me give you an example. I'm the president of what's called the American Justice Project. I had to form this nonprofit because I recognized that people were left helpless. And when you go to your representatives, for my example, I went to every representative at the city council in Hartford. I went to every state representative. I went to every state senator. I went to the FBI. I went to everybody who can get us justice, and none of them had the courage to step up and do the right thing. So, American Justice Project, just last year, we were successful in freeing a young man who was facing 60 years thanks to police corruption in Shelton Police and the state attorney's office in in Milford. And luckily, we were able to produce the kind of evidence that proved that it was a no crime, and the state attorney actually dropped all charges against this individual. So he came home, and he was with his family. This is what we should have. We should not just discard individuals' rights. The matter that you all witnessed me campaigning about outside of the Capitol for approximately 7 years finally came to a head. The Connecticut State Supreme Court had to intervene to deliver partial justice. In this case, the Supreme Court finally affirmed the evidence-based ruling that was rendered by an arbitrator on November 30th of 2020. The Supreme Court ruled that I was wrongfully terminated from my 22 position at Central Connecticut State University. The taxpayers had to flip the bill for approximately $760,000 in back pay. That's absurd. That should never have to happen. It should have never amounted to that kind of bias. The Attorney General's office petitioned the lower court to vacate that arbitration's decision, which is why it caused another 4-year delay bringing us to the state Supreme Court. I was stripped of my custodial rights of my children in a no-crime case. I was facing 40 years in prison in a no-crime case. I was returned as the father of my children, custodial, finally on September 30th of 2024, when all my criminal charges were dropped November 14th of 2019. The state attorney's office in Hartford protected the individual who faked her own kidnapping. They had DNA evidence that exonerated me, yet and still this is something that we're fighting for. I share this with you because unfortunately, there is no bill that I'm testifying for in support of because we are afraid to take on prosecutorial misconduct and police misconduct. We yield to absolute immunity and qualified immunity. I'm currently representing 5 individuals who are facing approximately 50 years in prison, all of them in no crime cases. I don't have time to name all the places. One of them is in Bridgeport. I will say that it's a horrible case. One is in Vernon. A man has been separated from his children for over 4 years. So it's sad. But what I'm hoping is, as I offer you a solution, AJP has the campaign that's in mind. We call it End the Chokehold. This is what we use to spare Connecticut residents of over 100 years of wrongful incarceration already. We are now paying the bill of about, I think, $36 million because of these mistakes that have happened over the years. We need to stop this. We need to get better. I'm not here just to voice a complaint. I am here as a nonprofit entity inviting you to our table, or you let us come to yours. Let's solve this problem. I come to you with a solution that does not cost taxpayers any money. We do our work pro bono for folks. So I don't understand why you won't take us on to provide us. But again, we invite you either to our table or you let us come to yours, because we do have an effective solution that will help people. It's written on my back. It's called In the Chokehold. And this is what we're asking you to do. Thank you. Hopefully that someone will ask questions and I can answer more about what's going on. But again, I'm not here to be a complainer. I'm here to let you know of the status report. Justice has been served to some degree. One last point that I must make. My children have been alienated. Luckily, I've been reunited with my son, who's now 11 years old, who was woken up by a SWAT team when he was 4 years old. My daughter, who is 17 years old, was 10 years old when this all happened. She has been alienated and isolated from my entire family for the last 2,500 plus days. So I speak to you from a point of trauma as well, but I want to make sure this is not self-serving. I'm here to serve people in the state without running for office. I don't want to run for office. I want to help people maintain their rights, and we're here to help these marginalized families, and I look forward to working with all of you or anyone. I want to work with the good cops that we say we have, the good prosecutors, and I want to work with our elected officials who are not afraid to make justice a priority. Because if we have justice served correctly, we don't have to focus as much on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because justice makes all of that happen. So let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dukes. Any questions from members of the caucus? Representative Wilson. Vice Chairman Wilson.
One, I want to thank you for coming and testifying. For some of the material, I don't know if you have any. Is it possible that you send it to us as a caucus so that we can review it and familiarize ourselves with it as well?
Certainly. I did provide it. I understand it's very comprehensive. I did provide it last year's written testimony. However, a lot of you are new members, so I'll be more than happy to provide that to you. Just if you could please provide me the email. Do you want me to send it to the email that sent the list?
So I was going to get to that. We have a email for these hearings for testimony. It's bprctestimony@gmail.com. Very easy.
Right. Is that what I registered on? I mean, I remember I did it so quick, but
I'm not sure.
I didn't see an opportunity to provide.
It didn't list the email people. It did not.
Ma'am, can you please not jump on to the Zoom? We'll get to you when it's your turn. We see that you're number 38. bprctestimony@gmail.com is where we'd like people to send their materials from these meetings.
Got it. I will definitely send it to you. I did have it's a simple chart. It's 16 elements. Paul Butler is the author who wrote The Chokehold, and AJP has identified 16 elements. If I may give you a good example, City Councilman Alex Thomas is facing charges for stealing approximately $14,000. All right. His bail was $250,000, yet and still a professor from UConn gets charged this week with excess of more than $14,000. Her bail was $10,000. You see the discrepancy already? You have a young black man whose bail is $240,000 more than a white female who has a $10,000 bond for being accused of dealing with more. So there again, there is more stories on, especially your constituent in Bridgeport. Oh my goodness, how this man is being railroaded. But I would love to be able to sit down with anyone to go through this. I do not deliver baseless accusations. I back them up with receipts. And so thank you for the question.
No, thank you, and I appreciate. We definitely look forward to reading that.
Thank you.
My only addition to that, because I was going to ask a similar question, was those cases that you mentioned. Can you also send us something about those to the same
I certainly can. Some of them are, if you went to AmericanJusticeProject.org, you can see 3 of the campaigns that we've had consent to put there. You'll see the pictures, you'll see the journeys, you'll see the human beings who have been impacted by this. So thank you very much. I appreciate
it. Make sure to add that URL as well so we know where to visit that.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dukes.
Take care.
Representative Sanchez.
Yes, sir, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you for your testimony. And, for 22 years, I worked with the fatherhood program here in the state of Connecticut. And I can tell you, nightmarish stories
I understand.
of what happens to a lot of these men, particularly in the family court system,
Yes.
and how many of them are treated differently from the advocates in the court.
Yes.
From the time they walk into the court and talk with the family advocates to the time they go and see the judge. And I've seen certain judges really disrespect these men
Yes.
and make them feel horrible.
Yes.
Sad. It's sad that our system has failed so many. And I'm looking forward to know more about End the Chokehold.
Definitely. Again, if I can give you a point of reference, my bond was the state attorney of Hartford tried to get my bond to be $1 million in a no crime case. I was separated from my children for 10 months at the time, and then we were on 2-hour supervised visits for 225 weeks. So you think about the trauma that my children have gone through. I was a grown adult, so I'm used to it. But this happens on a regular basis. So based on even the Supreme Court decision, at no point in time was the police or the prosecutors correct. Because there's no way the state attorney office can put anybody, not state attorney, the Supreme Court can put a state employee back to work when there's evidence supporting that they kidnapped or beat their wife or anything like that. Those were horrible accusations that was made. And once I proved my innocence, the state attorney's office covered it up by saying, not because of the evidence, not because of the phone records, the toxicology report, and the 2 DNA evidence that confirm my accuser is the only individual to contribute DNA on duct tape. That person never faced any charges. No one has been held accountable. CCSU got rid of me, and actually, you need to know this because you're all state folks. I'm on paid sabbatical, and I've been on paid sabbatical because the president who wrongfully terminated me, Terrence Ching, you're worried about his expenses? He's covered up for this president. I blew the whistle, and Attorney General William Tong filed to vacate this order after they knew I blew the whistle on covered up sexual misconduct cases. You have the person who I blew the whistle on who raped a female student who's been employed the entire time. That's why they got rid of me. I knew too much, and they jumped on the false accusations. So we were supposed to go to trial this month. It's been delayed. Hopefully we'll settle in May. But again, this egregious act is about to cost the Connecticut taxpayers millions, not tens of thousands, millions, because that's how egregious this cover-up has been. And it is from the governor on down to the patrolman at Hartford who first filed their thing. So this is big, all right? And I know I'm putting a crosshair on me. They tried to take me out 3 years ago in my driveway, in my parking lot, and they covered up. They fired 3 bullets into the vehicle that I was driving. You never heard about it because the Hartford Police Department covered it up. So again, I have the receipts for all of this, and I look forward to making sure that what happened to me and my children never happens again. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Sanchez. Thank you, Mr. Dukes.